This board has completed its preliminary investigations. Have you anything to add or wish to make any final statements?
Threads from me says, I'd never heard of Australian rules football until the mid-80s, when I was 8 years old. My next door neighbour had just come back from a game he'd seen in Sydney. The Swans versus the Bombers. The Bombers were the victors. As he was my friend and the Bombers had won that game, even though I had no idea what game it was, I decided that I was going to support the Bombers too. Early the next year, my family had moved down to Victoria, the home of Australian rules football, it turns out. Bombers were one of the most popular teams. They'd won several grand finals. So it was an easy choice to make and stick with. But it wasn't until 1988 that I first saw my beloved Bombers play against Carlton at Waverley. They were soundly beaten by 21 points. Did not deter me though, I stuck with my team. In my high school years, I met some people who also supported the Bombers. We became friends and bonded. However, over the years, I became distracted by other things. Music, parties, the occasional job. Whatever was happening with Essendon, I completely do not know. I heard that Matthew Lloyd was captain for a while, but I did not watch one game. Kevin Sheedy's departure, the coach, I knew nothing about it. After 2 decades had passed, I had lost touch completely with my team. And then something strange happened. I got hitched, and then all of a sudden my attention turned towards another team. I fully turned only recently. It has been my darkest secret. But I must speak the truth, for the truth will set me free. I no longer support the Bombers. I support the Richmond Tigers. I take full responsibility for my decision, for it is mine to make. I was also deeply disturbed by what happened to Bomber Thompson and Captain Hurd.
So there you go. Threads is a football apostate. I'm not the only one around. I'm sure there are others. They may not say it out loud. But what I think is very interesting is how they conduct themselves around the new team. Because it's all well and good to join a new team, but if you say at once, oh, I used to barrack for this other team, they might think, ooh, okay, so you bailed on the team that for some reason and now you're joining us. How do we know you're not going to bail on us? So they don't trust you. They possibly think that you're going to do it to them. At the same time, they're benefiting from you joining their club. You might buy some more merchandise. You might actually join the club. Bolsters their support, fan base support, which is always good financially and for the confidence of any club at all. But what's interesting is that die-hard fans, the whole identity is wrapped up in who they barrack for. A part of them is wrapped around the colours, the team name, the team song, the team history. Their whole life is consumed by it, that they cannot understand how someone could actually change teams. But this has happened all the time. Let's look at South Melbourne. South Melbourne in the VFL, quite a successful team, but eventually they succumbed and they had to be removed from the VFL. But they were resurrected in the Sydney Swans. However, there are still South Melbourne supporters out there, even though there is no actual South Melbourne Swans to go to games to, or as a club to put money into. So now they are barracking for the Sydney Swans, which is, still the same colours, still the same team mascot, and good on them. But is it the same team? Well, ask anyone. It is in some way, but not in every way. Fitzroy, Brisbane Lions, you name it. They had to change. Brisbane Bears had to default into the Brisbane Lions. You have people who, for instance, Adelaide. Adelaide entered the fray, so all the Victorians who have association with Adelaide, who are barracking for a VFL team, all of a sudden had a team in Adelaide to barrack for, and how quickly did they probably leave their Melbourne team to join the New South Australian team. Same with WA, with the West Coast. So it happens a lot. Is that an acceptable reason? Well, I can live with it. I think it's acceptable. I wouldn't put a man down for doing that if they're, say, from the town of Adelaide, or say if they're from the western suburbs of Sydney. So club loyalty is it's tenuous at sometimes, especially when the club undergoes massive change. So I wouldn't judge someone for changing at that time.
Here are 9 shitty reasons why you barracked for the club that you do. 1. It was my parents' team. They indoctrinated me at birth. I had no choice. 2. My friends barracked for that team, so I had to do the same. 3. I was out one night at a pub. Someone asked me who I barracked for. So to avoid a fight, I just gave them an answer. The first team that popped into my head. I don't even know who they are. 4. I went to a game with a friend. Got caught up in the crowd. 5. My uncle barracked for a certain team, and his enthusiasm, well, he just wouldn't let it go. I had to say yes. Now I barrack for his team. 6. A girl I liked a particular team. 7. You've just got to have a team. 8. I like the colour. It looked cool. Finally, reason number 9. I was born in the suburb. You got to go for the team of the suburb that you were born in.
Of course, there are many, many reasons why we barrack for a particular team. There's that list is definitely not exhaustive, but I'm sure some of you out there probably feel, yeah, that's the reason I did that. I'm guilty. So if you dig deeper and you're being truly honest with yourself and you really think about it, the reasons why any of us barrack for a team is it's hardly ever our own decision. We're always a little bit biased, and we're always a little bit influenced by those around us, our environment, which is okay. But we also like to conform. After a while it becomes part of our identity, and we want to protect that identity a lot. And anything to tarnish that is an affront to who we are as people and what we stand for. And if you see someone you know change teams, it feels like a betrayal. So is there a justified or valid reason for you to follow a particular sports team? I'd like to think that people follow a sports team because obviously you like the sport, you've studied the sport, you know the intricacies of how it's played, you've bonded with knowing the team members, the coach, you're familiar throughout your growing years in how the game is played, and after a while you notice one particular team that is just gelling with you and it feels comfortable and right, and it has nothing to do with your parents, your uncles, your friends, or where you grew up. It's more to do with how you feel connected to that particular team. And with luck, that's the team for you, and you stick by them. And there's, if you can stick by a team, which most people can, then excellent, absolutely fantastic, great for that team, great for you. You certainly feel a sense of belonging with that. It's hard to accept when you've known the one thing your whole life, but nothing is ever stagnant. Everything is flux, as the old saying goes from ancient Greece, and it's just as true for sports teams. And we sometimes change as people. As far as if you're going to judge someone for changing a team, maybe you should look at things that you've changed your mind about and people haven't really taken a second glance at and let you go with it. You may have had, I don't know, 10, 12 girlfriends. You may have had 5, 6 jobs. And the job that you're currently in, you might not want to stay in that either. Is anyone going to begrudge you for that, for wanting to move on and adapt and go with the changing world and the people that you know? You know, it's football teams, they change too. So one person leaving a club to barrack for another club in their own personal lives, completely their choice, does not mean that they're not trustworthy. It just means they've decided to go with the feeling that they have inside them, and to deny your feelings is really sometimes not the best thing to do. Sometimes you have to think about it and say, this is how I feel. I want to barrack for this team now. I'm not really hurting anyone at all. So I'll try to stick with this team for as long as I can. It feels right. But, as I said, we're not hurting anyone. And if you, like me, have actually, within your own mind, changed the team that you barrack for, and you're afraid to say it out loud, to come out essentially, then I want you to have the courage to at least tell someone close to you. I'm really sorry to do this. I've changed football teams. I don't barrack for that team anymore. I barrack for this team. And some people may not react too well to them, but here's my solution to anyone that puts you down or wants to make a big deal out of you changing your football teams. Well, thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that video and maybe change your perspective a bit on people that change their football teams as I did. It's not easy to say things like that, because you know that a lot of people are passionate about it, but full respect to those people. But if you like the video, please leave a comment, hit the subscribe button. The more subscribers I have, you can really help this channel out. Any comments you'd like to make, stories, experiences that you've had with conflict of interest with football teams, any sports team really, excellent. And please share, and looking forward to bringing you the next video. And thank you again for watching. I'm Threads, this is E Says. Have a good one.